Today I want to talk about Germany and how one specific German political party wants Germany's own ICE unit. You see, things are a bit complicated at the moment in Germany. Purchasing power of salaries is down. Housing prices are up. It becomes much harder, especially for younger generations, to afford a home. Violence, especially against women, is on the rise. So the middle class is struggling and is also shrinking. If that sounds familiar, that's probably because most countries are facing very similar problems to varying degrees, with the US probably being the spearhead of the whole development. Understandably, people want a solution. And instead of diving into the mind-numbing complexity of social integration papers, they usually go for the one who shouts the loudest. So let me introduce to you Alice Weidel. She's the co-chair of the AfD party in Germany. AfD stands for the Alternative für Deutschland, or Alternative for Germany. And honestly, Germany does need an alternative solution to the problems that they face at the moment, because the current guy in charge, Friedrich Merz, well, he used to work for BlackRock, which probably is a very good background to serve the people, because that's exactly what banks do. Alice Weidel, on the other hand, she was an analyst for Goldman Sachs. You know, the bank that is widely known for its philanthropic effort to stress test the global economy in 2008. Other than that, however, she really is not your typical right-wing persona. She mostly lives in Switzerland with her wife, who is from Sri Lanka. So for a right-wing politician, that's quite the interesting package. How many people can call open borders a problem for society and yet cross a border regularly to commute to work? Now, critics and protesters love to call the AfD the Nazi party of Germany, which, especially in Germany, is quite a hard allegation. Personally, honestly, I wouldn't go so far. Largely due to Alice Weidel's personal life, however. Think about it. She's a lesbian woman raising 2 kids with a filmmaker from Sri Lanka while living as an expat in a foreign country. If she were actually a Nazi, she'd have to arrest herself and her family first. So, no. However, that does not necessarily mean that there are no fascists within the AfD party. You see, there is this guy called Björn Höcke. He's a state chairman of the AfD party in Thüringen. During protests in Germany against the AfD party, people called him a fascist, and he went to court because he didn't like that. The court ruled, however, that he can legally be called a fascist based on, and let me read this for you, verifiable factual basis. Yeah, that tells you a little bit about a political party if they have a member that can officially legally be called a fascist. So the AfD is not just right-wing, it's far-right. Anyway, Alice Weidel and especially the Bavarian branch of the AfD party, they already pointed out that they want an asylum, tracing and deportation unit within law enforcement. And that unit should be modeled on ICE. Now, I'm not entirely sure how they got the idea, but I can only assume they saw a picture of Gregory Bovino in his 1939 German-style trench coat and thought, we definitely need this. So basically what they are saying is they want a specialized paramilitary-style police force with the power to target, trace and remove a specific minority group. And they want to give them their own fleet of planes and a simplified legal process. Introduced by a far-right party. In Germany, what could possibly go wrong? Luckily, the AfD party is not yet in full power in Germany, but it gains traction really fast. I mean, reasons are easy to find. As I stated in the beginning, problems are many. And look, while uncontrolled immigration with very little will to integration is a major problem, in my opinion, problems created through inefficiencies in governments, corruption, and polities who mostly favor the ultra-rich are far greater. But because it seems that no other party is taking care of any of these issues, it becomes much easier for a right-wing populist party to just paint the picture of a specific group of enemies and then claim that all problems originate from them. Anyway, as always, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching and see you next time.